Is going to Mr. Faraj. We are greeting you at the Baku High Oil School. Please.
Hello, everyone. Everyone can hear me good?
Yes.
So, hello, everyone. So let me start this presentation with a few words of gratefulness to Samira and Baku Higher Oil School. This is the first presentation for me, for the students. I think in general, the level of our education have increased tremendously over the years. And I am hoping that this presentation will help young students to understand better the career path ahead of them and what they can focus on to now to improve their chances of achieving the highest possible achieve the success in their career. So so let me start. So today the agenda for this presentation will be that we'll discuss high-level overview of my career, and then I will start with key principles that each of that was actually driving me throughout my career, and I believe that these key principles will be actually very useful for you guys to look at and maybe to apply to your career. Then I will start with whys. Why exactly I've chosen my career, why exactly I've made some decisions that took me throughout my career. Then career growth factors. So what exactly affects anyone's career growth? I don't think it's only mine, but especially in the petroleum engineering discipline, for sure that is the case. Then I'll touch on the future outlook. How does it look for oil and gas and petroleum engineering outlook-wise? I mean, what do we expect in the future, and how important our profession will be in the future? And then we can talk about some career move decisions that I've taken throughout my career. And then it will be a questions session with you guys. So I would like you to guys, if you go as I go, just collect the questions that you want, and in the Q&A sessions at the end, you just will put your questions forward. Any questions are welcome. There is no things that there is no stupid questions, but there are stupid answers sometimes. So that's why, guys, please put your questions in. And I will be happy to open up, because this career discussions is usually two-way communication. There are questions that you have now, or maybe the ideas of the choices for you to make now that will affect a lot your career. And then this is an opportunity for you guys also to discuss and agree and find some solutions for you. So overview-wise, I've started my career in 2007. I still was in my third year of university in the summer as a wireline intern with Schlumberger. Schlumberger is one of the biggest service providers for oil and gas sector. So for 3 months, I was working in a wireline department, and then upon completion of my wireline internship, I actually was offered the position of MWD engineer with Halliburton full-time in Baku. So that's how my career started, which, like, I would say full-time career started. So I managed to discuss with my university that I would be how I would take it forward, both being in university and both working full time. So I spent almost a year during which I was rotating to offshore, going to the courses, learning what MWD engineer is doing. Halliburton is also one of the biggest service providers, and again, they provide directional service, and MWD, which is measurement while drilling, and LWD, logging while drilling, is part of that. So that's what I did for 10 months. Then upon graduation, I actually joined BP, and I spent 3 years as drilling engineer. I finalized my challenge program in BP, which is like a trainee program for the drilling engineer in 2 years versus standard of 3 years. I can tell you that later on how I managed to do that. But once in 2011, I got an offered a position in Russia for Schlumberger as a drilling engineer in Krasnoyarsk. And I took that, and this was my first expatriate role. So after a year in Russia, I was offered a senior drilling engineer position in Lukoil overseas, which is Lukoil, like branch of Lukoil that has overseas arm, overseas operations, mainly in Iraq, in South Iraq, in Basra. So I joined their Dubai office, and almost a year later, I joined DNO, which is Norwegian operator. I started to work in Dubai office first, and then started to rotate in Erbil. In 2015, I joined ExxonMobil and was rotating to south of Iraq in Basra. And in 2016, I rejoined DNO as an operations senior drilling engineer. And I'm in DNO until now, almost 5 years. So in Dubai office, but our operations are in Kurdistan in Iraq. So this is an overview of my career in short. I will touch on why I made every of these moves later on my last slide. But let's start with principles. So what is important in I think everyone's career is that you have an ambition and eagerness to grow. There are people that can stay in the same job for like years and years and do not have any ambition to grow. And your career usually will not evolve if you don't have that inside you. So, and this is set very early on. You either put for yourself like really high goals, high final targets, and then work your way through that. Whenever the bigger the goal, they call it shiny northern star. It's like your star that you're moving to. And the shinier it is, the easier for you to move. And some people say that you have to aim for the sun to shoot to the moon, you know. So if your target or your career goal is really big, it means that whatever you achieve will be bigger than if you wouldn't have this career target. So then second one is skills and reputation. So regardless what age you are, you have to work on your skills, meaning that you have to study hard, whatever is important for you at that particular time. So for example, if you study in university, you study the topics to become the top in the class, for example. If you go to work, you study the things that make you the perfect engineer for the job. It's very easy to find out what it is, because usually you will see that it's written in the roles and responsibilities. So your skills should be high, and you should be highly regarded across your team members, which is a reputation. And why reputation is important, I'll tell later. But every time you have to make sure that you preserve your reputation at all costs. That you are being considered top in the class, top in the group, top in the university, and then top in the team. So later on, whenever like you're gonna go somewhere else, your ex-colleagues will think highly about you, and whenever you rejoin somewhere else, you will form a better bonding. So reputation is important. So you have to work on that. Searching and grasping the opportunity. That's number 3. Some people have the above 2, but without active searching, without looking what is in the market, without looking around you, without talking to people, without seeing, searching for an opportunity instead of just looking for it to come to you, it's very rarely happens. So you have to be active in search. You have to see what is around you, what people are talking about, ways of finding out how it is in the market, talking to your friends, talking to your coaches, mentors, professors, and searching for the opportunity. Once opportunity comes, you evaluate, you try to consult as many people as possible, which are like way more inexperienced than you, and then act very quickly to grasp that opportunity. Usually it is very scary at times to do that, because you are in your comfort zone, but I'm encouraging you to get after that opportunity, because you just don't know how much it is outside of your comfort zone. There are worlds of opportunities away from it, and you will never realize how big the world is without going for something else, especially after you spent like 12, at least a year, maybe 2, in some new job, and then you kind of reached your learning plateau, and after that you can start searching. So the era of career for life probably is over. You know, it's very rarely that you see people being actually in some way like getting better if it's staying with the company for a long time compared to the people who made jumps. So I would encourage everyone to grasp the opportunity to try something new. Keeping and growing the network, and that is a very important principle. Always, whenever you are, even if you're in a school, try to grow your network among the people and among the professors, among the managers, to make sure you're known. Take the opportunities to present, for example, something. Take the opportunity to go on to some get-togethers with other people, to know other people, to help them, or to ask for advice, or ask for help. That is, and then after you created your some network, stay in touch. That's very important. This will help you a lot in many cases and throughout. And I'll put some. I'll give you some examples of that. So this is why. So I'm sure when you see someone else's like career path, for you guys, there will be some questions, why he has chosen this, why he has chosen that, and it's very important question. Always try to find out the reasons, because then you take some learning out of it. So first, why I chose oil and gas in general. It happened when I was in grade 10 of my school, and I've just asked myself what our country as a whole produces most that the world needs. And I don't know which year this representation, this slide is about the petroleum production, but you can see that almost 95% or 93% is petroleum oil and petroleum products. That's what we produce. That's what we are known in the global scale market. So the easiest way to get out to the global market is through the global product that your country is producing. So that was no brainer for me. After that I need to go to group number 1, and then after that I need to choose oil and gas institution, which is at the time was Azerbaijan State Oil Academy, and it happened around 2004, where actually oil production was not high. It was 300,000, but very quickly it jumped, like then first 2 times within 3 years, and then another 2 times like few years later. So I was actually lucky to be a part of that market expansion. So why drilling? So many people would ask, when you were in petroleum engineering, you have like in my department, there were upstream, midstream, and downstream in some way, or partially upstream with reservoir engineering and drilling engineering and midstream. So, but why exactly the drilling engineering out of these 4 professions that you can take? First is, of course, and this will be strange, but it is mentoring advice. So I was lucky at grade 2 or year 2 of my university. I went into the mentorship program provided by BP, and my mentor was a drilling engineer. He's now also an expat drilling engineer or well engineering manager working overseas. We're still in contact, and sometimes we were in discussion about which jobs to take and stuff like that. So, but seeing him, not necessarily that he told me that you have to be a drilling engineer, but seeing him, I actually clearly saw myself where I want to be. And by this mentoring mentorship programs where we were teaching, he was teaching us some of the basics of drilling engineering, I actually found it very exciting. I mean, it was, for me, it was very interesting job. Later on, when I was speaking to other students, why I was advocating for drilling engineering, it was because drilling usually consists, like takes the highest capex out of all activities for one well, or one oil and gas well. So this is a slide from US shale production, where completion costs include some fracking, which is 24% of that. But usually in normal drilling operations, it is, I would say, 70-30 for drilling. So drilling is very expensive. Drilling has a lot of risks, and usually it requires a lot of people as well. So for a team, there will be like 1 engineer, there will be like 2, 3, 4 drilling engineers, and probably there will be 1 or 2 reservoir engineer for the entire reservoir, and there would be maybe a few production engineers, like for like number of wells. So count-wise, the world or market needs more drilling engineers than other professions, and because it is very expensive, they don't really look at the salaries so much in terms of portion of the cost of the well. So the salaries tend to be higher as well. But anyway, all 4 of those are really important. Some would say that reservoir and production engineering are way more secure, because if you go in those positions, these usually are more long-term. The first thing that company does when oil price goes down is shut down the most expensive part, which is drilling of the wells. So that's when the layoffs happen, and usually first to go are drilling engineers and completion engineers. So this is something else to consider for your career decisions. So then next one is why BP? So why it was a goal for me to end up in BP after my university, and which was true. I went into the service company as wireline intern, and I went into a different service company. I could have stayed there, but for me, because my mentor was from BP, and I saw myself, I saw already how the drilling engineers working there, what kind of challenges are they having. I didn't want to be just an engineer going to the field to run the specific equipment. I wanted to be responsible for the entire well. I wanted to be part of an operator. And in Azerbaijan now, currently there are like 2 active operators. It's SOCAR and it's BP. That's why my focus was to go to BP at the start. This is typical drilling organization, very simplified. There's no geology, there's no other supply chain departments. So at the top, it's an operator or oil company that owns an asset, owns a field, probably as a production sharing, as part of a production sharing agreement with the government. And it provides the reservoir engineering services to for that field. It provides the geophysics, other departments, but main one is of course drilling, where it oversees, designs the drilling operations. So they write the drilling program, they write the end of reports, and they make sure they procure and select and procure the items for the wells. They write authorization for expenditures, AFEs, which is like a budget for the well. So all this is done by the drilling operator company. And then there is drilling contractor, which is like a rig that provides the rig and the people along with the rig. So it's like, for example, KCA Deutag or Caspian Drilling Company in Azerbaijan. I don't know, maybe it's called different, SOCAR AQS as well. But there are bigger ones in the world like Neighbors and Transocean, Seadrill. So they provide the rigs itself, whether it is drill ship or semi-submersible or land rig, along with the people. So, and there are a lot of people working for that contractor. And there is a service companies that provides different service for the well. And there could be a mud service, there could be a cementing service, there could be a directional drilling service, wireline service, mud logging, etc. So, and they also provide specialized equipment and specialized people that they train to operate with that equipment and provide service. So that's basically 3 type of companies, and I prefer to work for BP because it is an operator. So why I was looking to go to overseas right from the start? If you compare, especially the salaries in Azerbaijan or mostly in most, I would say, developing countries, especially if you compare local salaries with the salaries of expat, you'll see like 2, 3, 4, sometimes 10 times difference. And why is that? It's due to different reasons. I wouldn't touch on that, but once you go overseas, you will start being expatriate and you will start earning higher salaries. So that's first reason. Second reason is experience. It's very important in any engineering job that you see as much variety in operations as possible, because this will help you to find different jobs later on. So the people will start asking you, okay, have you seen, for example, drilling in carbonates? Have you seen offshore drilling? Have you seen onshore drilling? Have you seen drilling with total losses? Have you seen drilling with high pressure, high temperature? Have you seen pressure wells with, or have you designed the wells with extended reach drilling? So all these questions you will usually not see in one geographical area. So you have to move to see different kind of operations in different areas. And also in different geographies, they require that particular experience. In Middle East, they will require Middle East experience. In North Africa, they will require North Africa experience. In offshore Gulf of Mexico, they will require offshore Gulf of Mexico experience. In Canada, they will require Canadian experience. So and despite some companies would say, oh, everything that you need is here, they will encourage you to stay. You need to learn, you need to know that when they hire other people to come even to your country, they will ask those questions. So the faster skill and network growth, that's another important why to go outside. You see, like when you create a network of people, you will create a network of people usually from your organizations or your service providers or other service providers. You will see only so much people. When you move to another organization or another company, your network will expand big time. So over time, your network will expand every time you move somewhere else. And then you will start seeing same people, and they will be helping you. They will be like, you will be already, they will help you with information, they will help you with some other ways. But this is very important. And the skills as well. I mean, in every new job, you will learn and reach your plateau. After that, you will start losing your like learning ability, because everything is same. You automate it. You automate some of your tasks. You know how to do things. So once you move somewhere else, you will get more knowledge straight away. And organizations. I mean, various organizations work completely differently. I mean, people working for BP, they don't know actually how people work in Exxon, or how people work in DNO, or how people work in service companies. So once you go into those different companies, you will see also new style of doing things. And they're saying that there is 1,000 ways of how to skin a cat. So it's same. There are a lot of different ways of how to build organization, how to make it effective, and sometimes different ways work better in different parts of the world. And then global market. I mean, once you exit from your home country into overseas, you start being expatriate, and then it's way easier for you to move all around the world, because you are not bounded to your home country. And then for outside employers, you already are expatriate. You're not hired like locally. It doesn't matter for them if they hire some other nationality from London, or from Dubai or whatever. So you enter the global market. You have at least 2 different geographies, and you can bring more skills into the new company. So that's very important. Also, another one is like, there's a good picture of knowledge versus experience, where you see that knowledge is different, is basically like some pockets of knowledge of different things. And once you gain experience, means once you process this knowledge through different companies, through different time, different challenges, you start connecting dots, and you start being much more valuable for organizations, because you will see the patterns, and you will see what can go wrong, what can be better improved. And this, you bring tangible benefits, and you will increase your own value. Of course, you can gain this experience usually from doing things. A lot of people just go on the various trainings, and if they don't design wells and don't make mistakes sometimes, or don't see mistakes happening, they will not gain this experience. It will be just more of those dots which will fade away because you forget things. So these were why. So now, guys, I want you guys to focus on the next slide, and also try to focus on each of the items that I'm going to show. And maybe in the future, try to bring at least one, or maybe if it works for you, another one later on in your life and in your future career, regardless if it is oil and gas related, or you find yourself somewhere else. It works uniformly everywhere. So these are career growth factors for everyone. This one is a little bit related to the oil and gas, because there is we're talking about my career path, which is in oil and gas. So there are 2 factors: external, which you cannot change, but you can change your preparedness, how prepared you are to face those external winds, and also internal. Internal, it purely depends on you. So you can choose later on to focus on external and say, oh, because oil price dropped, I lost my job and I cannot be employed anymore. Or you can focus on internal and evolve and develop all the time, and focus on specific things that will help you out later on. So, and another thing that, another box here is coach and mentors. So like, regardless how young you are, you always have to first see where you are more likely to be, where your target or your goal, career goal, likely to be. I mean, from different ways, talking to people, seeing new people, asking how it is to be like drilling engineer. With LinkedIn now, you can connect with anyone. Yeah, you can ask for a coffee and then talk to him for half an hour, and he'll tell you how he spends his days. And this will be a mini mentoring or mini coaching. So and then you can have formal coaches and mentors, and there are various ways to do that. There are like SPE program, Society of Petroleum Engineering. There are some like mentorships on LinkedIn. There are few guys like organizing it like as part of their own initiative. And they will help you to understand external factors, and they will help you to and provide advice, but they also will help you to understand your internal factors. They will give you advice, they will give you some motivation, they will give you the tools also. So my biggest recommendation would be just to get with some coach or mentor and have sessions every now and then, but approach them with something that you have done already. So do a course, do something, and then share your opinions. Try to have it two-way. Instead of just coming and listening to your coach and mentor saying some things and then going and minding your own business. So trying always to take as much as possible from coach and mentor. Try to make your like select your coach and mentor from the higher up in the organization, like some manager of your manager, for example. And it worked for me. Like few times, these coaches and mentors in my own career, they actually made me succeed. So I'll touch shortly on some of the external factors. So oil price, this is the biggest factor for oil and gas. And this is the biggest external factor that will affect everyone's career. And the same, for example, if you're in mining business, it will be price of the commodity that you're mining. If it is in agriculture, it will be a price of corn or for anything else. So you're looking at the price of commodity. If it is IT sector, it will be like how IT sector, is it like a .com bubble, or it's on the bust stage or on the going up stage. So it's all about commodity of your market where your career is. So in our case, it is oil, and oil price affects a lot how much job opportunities are there, how it is. So this is just in 2000 up until 2013. Sorry, guys. You can see that like historically, it is actually not very stable. It has ups and downs, ups and downs. And I was lucky that I was started my career on an upswing. So it actually like I went in the university in 2004. I graduated 2000, I would say 7, 8. And then that's when there was a lot of hiring in my company. But then there was a bust. Yeah. So in 2009, the oil price dropped like from 150 down to probably about 50, 60 dollars a barrel. And then it started to climb back. So during those times, you want to be in some stable company to weather the storm. So it will also, what it does, it creates some skill shortages. So that's why if you go into oil and gas industry, you will see a lot of people who are over 50 or 60. There is almost no people who are 40 to 50. And there are a lot of young guys who are 20 to 30. And why is that? It's because during those 10 years, the oil price was so low that it was very unfashionable to enter the oil and gas. So, and what it means. So if you go through this, for example, if you enter now, when it is now also quite unfashionable because the oil price dropped to like 20. But if you enter now, it means that there will be less of peers around you after 20 or 30 years time when oil and price starts to go up again. So you will see less competition. So when guy 60-year-old will exit the business or retire, there will be no one of 50-year-old to replace him. So they will take a 40-year-old guy. And it means that the 40-year-old guy will take 2 or 3 steps high, or there will be more opportunities for this guy. So you need to remember about those. So you always need to also remember that regardless of oil price, you have to try to keep your career in oil and gas without any gaps. So even the smallest job, lower paid job, is better than having a gap in your career. And also, if there is a gap, take it as a learning opportunity. Go and study somewhere, study some in university or whatever. At the same time, applying, trying to enter into the oil and gas somewhere, and then wait for this upswing again and look for opportunities and make a move. So another market expansion, and this is basically the key, is to get in the right place in the right time. And you will see this in different areas. Like, for example, this is a Kurdistan. I entered Kurdistan 2011, 12, and this is like when it just started. So during around this time, I mean, I was receiving like 2, 3, 4 calls a week for different offers to go somewhere else. Obviously, once oil price went down, you actually have to go and look for opportunity, rather they would come to you. So being in the right place in the right time means that you will go into somewhere that the production is increasing, and you get a higher chance of succeeding in that particular market. So the same with Iraq, for example. In general, it is mostly South Iraq because they produce way more oil than Kurdistan. It's from 2004, when they were producing 1.5, they went up to 4 in 2015. So that's an expanding market. That's where a lot of oil and gas requests for the people and for the equipment is. So demand is high. You want to be there, and you also want to be in the place where you either have an advantage as a local, for example. It's also important, or as another important thing to be is having like special expertise in that particular area. Yeah, so that's why I always try to expand your expertise in different areas to be irreplaceable. This is Azerbaijan oil production, also on the top right corner. I joined in 2007. It also started to grow up. This is Qatar, that is had that like high spike, and I think like from 2020 onwards there will be another spike. So that's basically like taking a big picture, looking at market trends will help you. And also you will at the start of this curve, you will hear a lot of calls. Like, for example, people start calling you, do you want to go there? And you open up news, you open up ideas how big the market expansion will be. If you do find that the market expansion is happening, yes, go there. If it is an exploration well, when it's hit and miss, maybe it's not a very good offer if you have some stable job somewhere else. There is another one, is war and instability and crisis, like financial crisis of 2008 or COVID. Those things are impossible to predict, and they're unavoidable. You know, they will happen anyway. So, and they will touch everyone, I would say, in that particular area. So the key is to be irreplaceable at that point in time in that particular company. So when you start with a company, try to get some tasks that you do that no one else does. Try to improve your own understanding of the old wells, for example. Try to be as valuable as you are. And then when shutdown happens, usually the last in, first out. That's one rule, but also the irreplaceable people will stay. So another one is always keep your network updated, even in good times. So always keep in touch with your ex-managers, ex-colleagues. Whenever you go back to your home country, see them. Whenever you change the country, company, go back to your company, see them as well. Try to be in touch. I will also share with you one thing that one of my ex-bosses told me. You always want to be on the bench of the big boss. So first you have to be visible. So big boss need to see you, and then try to find make a personal relationship with big bosses. Not necessarily like CEO of the company, but boss of your boss is also quite big, and etc. Even from the different department, from completions department or from other department, because they might become like drilling department head somewhere else. So and be on the bench, and being on the bench will your reputation will help you to be on the bench for that particular boss. When you become a hiring manager, you are actually managing other people, and whenever you go, you will usually, if you have this opportunity, build your own team, and you for that particular moment will need people from your bench who you know are good. And that's why I'm saying that start building your reputation very early. Be the best in the team, because once your boss will go somewhere else, he will offer you to come with him, and that is very organic way of growing up. I know people that were going to different places within like for 20 years. They moved into 10 different countries, and they went with same bosses. And sometimes even this boss changes. Like one guy, the senior drilling engineer in one department, actually he found some opportunity in Africa. He goes and becomes a drilling manager, and he gets his ex-drilling manager as superintendent. And that's how, and the team is very bonded. You know that these guys are like best in terms of work ethics, in terms of the skills, and you know you will deliver. So that's why be on the bench of as many bosses as possible. Have a backup plan. I mean, a lot of people, they whenever they lose the job, they are in despair. Because they didn't think about this situation before. So have financial savings, at least 6 months in cash of your salary, and have something else. Like always have in your mind, what else can I do? What other skills can I get on top of what I have? What else can I participate at? I mean, learn how to invest money, for example, in stock market or in some other areas like real estate or whatever, because this will help you when the oil price will drop, the crisis will hit, whatever happens, there's a low market. That's where you actually can survive, and that's where you actually can grow some more skills. Focus on your network and chasing opportunity. That's also important in this war, instability, or crisis. I mean, that's when actually your network can be your lifeline. If you lost your job or you see that you are close to losing your job, start connecting people. And if you didn't connect them before, they will ignore you. So that's why it's important to always keep in touch. You keep in touch with them, and then you chase opportunity from internet, from your network, from going into conferences, from going into the events, seeing new people, and trying to make yourself visible. Start writing some articles, start offering some advisory services if you have experience with something. Sorry. Yeah, I will yeah, I don't have too many slides left, so I will finish, and then I can take questions from you guys. Can you hear me? Everything is all right?
Yes, Mr. Faraj, everything is going well.
All right. So then the next one is skills growth. You know, so like apart from your work skills, like trainings, courses, whatever, you obviously try to learn on the job, because that's the best learning possible. Try to help other team members in whatever they do. Try to understand what they do also. Why understand big picture? Why there is a cost engineer sitting there? What exactly does he do? Why there is like petroleum engineer? What exactly how he's helping? So try to learn what people around you are doing. Try to understand how big mechanism is working. This will help you to find your own place or find a better place within the same mechanism. So formal education, some people do not believe in that. I'm still believing in it. It's very important. It's not only that it actually teaches you things that are relevant, because a lot of things that from what you will be taught will not be relevant. Because university doesn't know you're going to be a drilling engineer, you're going to be a petroleum engineer, you're going to be a geologist, or you will get some other service company job. But they give you an opportunity to learn first the basics, and basics will help you everywhere. First, second is that you will get connected with your peers, and you're going to stay connected with your peers, and your peers will be from different areas, and some of them they become maybe they will become your boss somewhere else, who knows. So the environment is also important. This learning environment like gets you to learn. So I graduated from State Oil Academy for bachelor's degrees, and then I went with master's degrees, remote learning. I mean, I was still working in BP at the time, then I went to Heriot-Watt University. This was actually supported by BP. But if I would go back in time and BP would not support that, probably I would do the same, because this brings you a little bit more credibility to your CV when you have overseas engineering. And actually, you guys, I think you have double degree, so you are better placed than I am. But if you have just local university somewhere else, maybe there is a way to bring this one in. It's not only because of CV. Is also you will learn new things taught by foreign professors with different experience. So they will teach you how they do wells like in Angola or in North Sea, and this will also give you understanding. So when I did that, I did all the modules from petroleum engineering course. I thought that doing the like thesis and some other like group projects and everything, that would take me too much time and effort. I didn't do that. That's why I get postgraduate diploma. But anyway, I was thinking also that 2 petroleum engineering degrees would look weird in my CV, so I kept to 1. Another one is that in 2016, when oil price went down to $27 a barrel, and it was minimum of like from 120 to 27, it was a very big shock for the industry. So I was lucky that I was still employed, and I was rotating in Iraq at the time, and I thought that it's better to have additional skill sets in business, in consultancy career, possibly in private equity careers, in banking, and they all require this MBA. So it gives you additional skill sets in accounting and finance and entrepreneurship, and also you can get connected to way more people. So I've taken that and I did it aside from job. It was not sponsored by anyone. I did it on my own, and I believe that it is worth to do, to be honest. Then obviously you have your courses, online learning. You can do that on your own. Coding and machine learning skills that actually are becoming very important for engineers. So some of our reservoir guys, they apply machine learning Python programs to some data science project, and it looks cool. Oil and gas is still very conservative industry, and there is a lot of probably potential for digitizing it or applying some algorithms to improve it. So these skills will help you for sure. Mastermind groups. I mean, it's always better to keep being motivated when you are part of the group of learners. So select a few guys of you who really are learning hard, who are striving for excellence, and try to get more and more. I would say that will be along with you, like your wingman in learning, and you will support each other. And this is very important to achieve your goals. You can put the goals of each other together and go for it together. Learning with friends is much more fun. And then reading and seminars. I mean, reading books. And here I'm talking about sometimes technical books, or sometimes like soft skills books as well. I mean, how to learn, how to approach people, how to see. So it's all important. And having going on seminars, actually, that's another one. You can improve your network, but also learn something else. So that all will be a part of you when you go, when you grow, and the skill growth will make you more irreplaceable, which will lead you to better career. The network is a very important thing in your future career. So I myself, I have 8,400 LinkedIn contacts. Maybe 2,000 of them are recruiters, but the rest are people. I try to connect with some people, and I'm obviously not connecting to all of them, but I'm trying to utilize it to the maximum, being in touch with my ex-colleagues, ex-managers, just to try to find out how things, and sometimes it actually helps a lot. I mean, I'll tell you a few examples later, but that network, you have to concentrate on it. You will not understand until you try it, but people usually are very open, especially on the management positions, to share their experience if you approach them properly. So if you will tell them that please find me a job, no one will reply to you. But if they will say, okay, you know, I really admire your position growth, can I have like just 10 minutes of your time for advice here and there? They probably will write something, or they will give you this 10 minutes. If they are from the same city as you are, you can buy them a lunch or breakfast, and you can see and meet these people and learn from them. But do not ask anything. I mean, try on opposite, give something back. It's important. I mean, you can do this volunteering attempts, and volunteering in general, like when you are having free time. It also will increase your but try to find these volunteering jobs closer to your area. Like some people go and do volunteering in children sports events. It's better to go and volunteer for your Society of Petroleum Engineering organization. Try to volunteer there. Try to spend your time, meet new people. Organizing, participating in events. If you already are participating in events, try to organize one. Try to gather people. Try to find some interesting topics, interesting areas, places to meet. You know, if you are fan of football, and just make or organize a football watching event among oil and gas guys. A lot of people will show up. You'll find friends. Relationship with managers, like it's very important that you will be trusted by managers, that you will go in, and don't be afraid of taking an ownership on presenting something new, on presentations, on standing up, speaking, because then you will make yourself more visible, and then you will just chit chat with managers easily. Don't be shy of your accent as well. No one is born with perfect English accent, and people usually are okay with you having your own accent. So annual catch-ups is I've touched on this on LinkedIn. I do, and another one is reading and improving on this skill. So you read more. How do I improve network? How do I networking skill? How do I manage that I'm shy? How do I manage my shyness? How do I approach new people, etc.? So it will help you and help other people. Like I've seen like times when I was actually it was network that helped me. So one time it was with it's just a learning for everyone. Be nice to everyone and help other people. It doesn't matter if this guy is in service organization, like he reports to you, he makes a project for you, so do not abuse him, and on opposite, try to help. On one occasion I was just started with LWD and WD engineer. I was going to the rigs, and it was my first time on the rig. So there was a day guy, like a lead engineer, and he was expat, and he was like 15 years with the company. And so I was like absolutely brand new green guy. So I didn't know a lot. So this guy was very defensive. He didn't want to teach us. He didn't want to spend time with us. He really was joking, sometimes inappropriately, and like really misbehaved. So like a year later, I went to BP, and another 2 years later, I went into, or a year and a half, I went to become a drilling engineer for that particular platform. And I went to the rig, and now I'm going everywhere with a drilling supervisor who is like a head of drilling of the entire drilling team from BP, and I'm next to him, and this guy sees me as not only boss but beside his boss, and if I would want, I would make his life miserable. I could ask my superintendent to say, okay, I mean, this is what happened to me, let's do something about it, you know, or let's like, because I also know a lot about what he was doing in his free time, or even during the work time. I could make his life miserable. So I just came in and I told him that, listen, see within a year or two how the things changed. Yeah, I mean, you thought that I will be nothing, and I was maybe nothing, but within a year or two I became like way higher than you would ever expect. So if I hear again from my friends in previous company that you behave in the same way, you will just be out of this platform, or maybe from this location altogether, from Azerbaijan. Obviously, you know, my point was not to scare him or move him out of his job, but this is for just a learning, that a lesson for everyone, that regardless how small the other guy is next to you, you be nice. If you are not nice, maybe you will suffer later on. So another one was Lukoil example. In LinkedIn, I got a message, and it was very nicely written message from some guy, and he asked me, okay, I see that you were working there. What would be your advice? I'm working with PetroChina. Should I got an offer from Lukoil. Should I go there or should I not? I also have potential opportunity with BP in South Iraq. What would you recommend? I wrote a very lengthy email explaining how I find my work there. What would I see him suited in the job? He didn't know Russian, so it would be very difficult for him to understand what was going on in the team, and I explained him how everything actually is. It's like dynamics in the team, etc. So he made his own decision, and I've never heard from this guy before. After, so few years later, I was joining ExxonMobil, and it was like maybe like 3-4 years later, and suddenly I got a message, and I didn't realize from whom it was, and he said that I've seen some some email that you might be joining us, or no, actually I wrote because whenever I join a new company, this is maybe a tip for you, I'm trying to find out some guys in that company and just sending a quick email. How do you find your boss? How is the conditions? What do you do? what to be aware of, etc. So when I was joining Lukoil, I did that, and some people would reply to me and give me some tips. So I'm well prepared when I come on the first day on my job. So, and I did the same with Exxon. And only one guy replied. And this guy actually just straight away said, okay, let's meet at the mall at 6 o'clock. And I said, of course, I will come. And straight away, he came with a pile of papers. Possibly it was not the right way to do, but he brought me some drilling programs to look at and everything else. And he said, do you recognize me? I said, no. He said, I wrote you a few years back, and you replied me with this email. And that's why I didn't take the Exxon job. I took a BP job, and it worked out very well for me. So now I'm with ExxonMobil, and I'm gonna be your back-to-back. So, and he also, like, we had a very lengthy discussion about the bosses, about the dynamics in the team, what to be aware of, and everything. So it's very important to have a good start in a team. And also I have reviewed what the wells look like and everything. And basically I was well prepared to come to the to work. And again, until now we're in touch. So and another example, the thing that happened with me by growing up, the same happened to me when I was actually in Schlumberger. So once when I was in Schlumberger in Krasnoyarsk, and you can imagine Krasnoyarsk drilling engineering team, there's a guy next to me, he's Russian, and he for like, I would say 10 years in the same position. And he doesn't want to grow. He's maybe like 40-year-old guy. And because his English was very poor, everyone was like pressuring on him. And I was very nice to the guy. I mean, we were working in the same team. I was looking after his wells when he was off, and he was looking after mine. So we were very bonded and good team. And obviously, reputation is important. So he knew that I'm capable of handling the wells and what kind of engineer I am. So and look, the head of the project there, he didn't like the guy, and he fired him. And this guy, so and at the same moment, I just learned about it. I expressed him my sorry. That, I mean, it's really sad to hear that. But I made a move. So I moved to Lukoil in Dubai. And this guy actually was without place. So because I moved, he actually took my place for a few months, but then he was fired anyway. But because his brother was head of Lukoil offshore team, drilling team, or director, I would say. A few months later, I get an email, internal email in Lukoil, that boss of my boss is this guy. So he was hired from Schlumberger by Lukoil to become a head of the drilling monitoring center in Moscow, and our drilling monitoring center in Dubai was reporting to him. So now, from now on, every day I was actually on a meeting with this same guy. And from now on, me and him, we were working together, and there was no one in the team that could challenge my authority or my decisions, because my decisions I could explain to boss of my boss, and he also was supporting me. I mean, obviously I didn't abuse that power, but again, you know, if only I was bad engineer, or my reputation was bad, or I was actually misbehaving to this guy, I would suffer a lot. So again, this is network. I mean, it's very important who you know and what your reputation is. So next slide. So future outlook. For Azerbaijan, you see lots of blocks in there. Mainly, of course, it's ACG field and Shah Deniz fields with BP. There is also elevated operations in Sokar. I've heard a lot of new developments are progressing, some with BP being a partner, some are on alone, some with other operators, like Total was drilling Absheron. So there will be a lot of job, and there will be a lot of demand. And historically, every location drives towards full localization. For some reason, it was very slow in BP Azerbaijan, and there are various reasons for that. But it's going more and more towards that. And the more people in Azerbaijan will get experience and start going outside of the country, the more new guys will be required to enter these companies. So that's why on the left I've put the biggest guys in terms of operators, first three. And then there are big four. These are biggest service companies. So service industry also is very nice. I mean, some people, especially like mostly like hands-on people, would enjoy working on the rigs. These service companies are actually, if you will provide them with great results, and that you are actually great in doing things, they will take you and put you in Saudi Arabia, in US, in Norway, wherever. Because for them you are like a tool, yeah. So you are a tool that is going with their tool, and if you are the best tool, like shiniest gold wrench, they will use you along with their shiniest equipment, and you benefit from it with salary, with being expat, with experience and everything, and the company benefits. So I would recommend you joining them as well. There are many more smaller service companies. You can find them out from your friends in one of those companies. But I would be very keen to know more people, know HR people in those companies, know engineers in those companies, because usually people tend to hire friends of friends. And why they do that is because they do not to hire wrong people. And if there is a friend that you know is good, you're going to hire a friend if you have this opportunity to choose from. If there is a friend of friend that your friend will tell that this guy is really good, I'm vouching for him, you know that your friend is good, and means that your friend of friend is also good. So not very often, even worldwide, people are taking like someone from the street. It happens only in the up market when there is a very big demand for people, and it all happens also when oil price is high. So this is my recommendation, and this is what I see will be happening. And there's a natural gas production. You can see that it actually starts now ramping up, 2020, right bottom corner, and it will actually ramp up to like maybe 2 times by 2023, 2026. So people were saying to me that from the big oil like I would say country, we become a big gas country. So that's why it's still in oil and gas. It's important to know where demand is. Another one is like the various outlooks from various companies like BP, Exxon, Statoil, Shell. They produce their own outlooks on the energy. So, but most of them, they look like that on the top center picture. So the oil will either stagnate or will go down, but it will go down only after maybe 2030. But gas will either stay neutral or will grow up. I very rarely actually see then the gas demand growing down, and it's basically the net zero scenario when all the world economies will vouch for zero emissions by 2050, which most likely will not happen. And that's why most likely gas demand will grow. That's what I've seen in most. So people are saying that the days of oil and gas are done. I don't think so, because probably the renewables are having more, are more trendy and maybe fashionable. But still, there will be people going there, and it means that if best bright talent goes in renewables, it means that you have less competition in oil and gas. That's good for you. So career move and decisions. I think that I will take a little bit of time, 10 minutes here, and then we'll start with Q&A. So my first decision and motive. So I would say that before that, I already knew that I will be a big, I already saw myself as a drilling engineer in BP. So, but still, because I couldn't enter the internship positions in BP, which is like a starting block, I was applying everywhere else as well. And I applied to Schlumberger and I took a wireline engineer intern position. I've shown myself there, so I learned what the organization is, etc. And I was offered later a position in Schlumberger, which I declined because I was already on full time with Halliburton. That position came a year later. There was another position from KCA Deutag that came in to go on the rigs, but at the time I already was in MWD as full time, and I didn't need it. So KCA Deutag, I was getting a scholarship as part of my university. That's why it's very important to have a reputation over there, because then you will be known by your professors as a top guy, and when companies will come to universities to hire, they will advise to have an interview with you. So so I went to become MWD LWD engineer again. That was because I wanted to work full time as early as possible, and this was right decision. So you learn a lot, you grow your skills tremendously, you get a network of people around you, you go on the trainings, you improve your career chances for the future. But once there was a career a recruitment campaign in BP, and I passed to go to a challenge engineer, perhaps I would, maybe in some people would say that I would lose a year because I already have an experience as MWD, but salary wise it was almost the same, maybe a little bit less, but in BP I knew that I will grow way further. So I've taken that. When I was in BP, I straight away looked on how many months the challenge program would take me to do, what I need to do to finish it faster. So I have started taking the extra trainings, like whenever I could, of course. I found a mentor in a different department, and this department mentor, like I was updating him with my growth, how I go to the rigs, how I interview all the other people in the rigs on what they do, to understand what actually the role they play in the entire platform drilling. That mentor became a drilling manager. So he helped me to move from one team, from Chardonnay's to East Azeri, to a different team, to gain more experience. And that was very important move for me. And again, that's why it's important to have mentors and coaches. Not only he was showing me like what I need to focus more, he also was actually showing me and what future career I could take. He also was helping me in some regard. So you will have the questions and assessments, and you can prepare for them. You can do necessary projects, and that's what I did. That's why I graduated within 2 years. Then I was looking around actively, obviously. And after 3 years, I had an opportunity to join Schlumberger Russia, just because I was speaking Russian fluently, and also that I had a good engineering background. So along with me, there was another engineer from BP that went there, and he went to Tumen. So we were kind of talking a lot together, and now he's actually working in SOCAR. So that guy or that position was first expatriate assignment. So my salary went up 3 times. So for me, it was no brainer to go. And I just got married, and I went there with my family for a year. And actually, it was pretty nice. I mean, people who don't speak Russian maybe will find it quite challenging, but even in Siberia. But I mean, you have to you have to make your research. I mean, this Krasnoyarsk is 1 million population city, so it should be good. I mean, it should be having infrastructure around you. And even if it doesn't, even if it is smaller city. I mean, you do it for your career. You are not going to stay there forever. So then a year later, I also was searching, not searching, but really was open on the market. And when oil price goes up, people will come to you with opportunities. So that's where all oil price was up. All this, my moves, oil price was high and market expanded. So I was not very actively searching. Obviously, for the first expatriate position, you have to search a lot because people will not consider you a local guy with little experience for expatriate assignment. So it was unique offer probably for me. So for that senior drilling engineer position, I was offered in Dubai, and it was first moved to Middle East. I think that it was very nice to be in that area because it produces most oil in the world, and also it was a career step up for me. The senior drilling engineer is like one step higher, and then it was also. Despite in the salary, I lost a little bit, so I lost about 10%. But anyway, I'm happy that I moved because also it was moved back to operators. I didn't really want to tie myself with service company because operators have way more power and way more opportunities, in my opinion. So because in operators, whatever you do, it's actually transferable to other operators. You design oil and gas well. Oil and gas wells are pretty much standard everywhere. Yeah, they have their own specifics, but if you drill the well for BP in Azerbaijan, you can drill the well for Lukoil in northern Iraq or for South Iraq. But if you like MWD engineer for Halliburton, and you will know everything about MWD tool and LWD tools in of Halliburton, you may not know nothing or anything of Baker MWD tools. So you will be actually at a disadvantage. There are some professions like directional drilling, for example. This was like some people go from MWD to directional drillers. When you do like directionally incline the well, where you actually have transferability across the company. So that's another lesson or key lesson, that you want your skills to be transferable across different companies. Do not stick to very detailed thing of what you do in one well, like for the researcher on this particular RSS or the rotary steerable system. So then when I was working in Lukoil, I moved to DNO. I didn't really look actively. It was a position that came to me, and to be honest, I took it because the salary was like double, and also like that in Lukoil at the time they were saying that I should start rotating to Iraq, and the conditions were not there at the time. So and I had a small kid, so I decided to stay in Dubai. But still, I joined the smaller company. It has its own advantages. Everything is done way faster. Everything is done by smaller team, less bureaucracy, less meetings. So and you learn more. So I've joined DNO, and I first few years were in office, and then I started to rotate to Kurdistan, and which was good experience as well. I mean, when you rotate, you spend 30 days in the city or wherever, and then 30 days back home. And then during that, I mean, you can improve your skills in some other way. So 2015, that is one of the price swings, like external movements. It means oil price collapsed significantly. Also, war was in that area in Iraq at the time. So that's why there was a reduction in activity. The drilling team got reduced in size tremendously. So most people were laid off. And there was a big insecurity for my position as well. So like my boss said that we don't know how much, like month, 2 months, 3 months, 10 months, but every month can be your last month. So I got an offer at the time, and this interview I did actually a year back. But again, being on the bench, that's another one. Like I did this interview like year back and I forgot about it. And then suddenly I got a call and said, okay, this manager requires an urgent role because the guy refused to join. And can you go? And I said, yes, actually, it's good timing. So I joined ExxonMobil to start rotating to Basra. And I was rotating a year and a half as a contractor. This was a camp in Basra. Another one is like whenever you hear some people are saying, oh, it's not safe somewhere or something, look at statistics. You know, how many people got kidnapped, how many people got killed, or what happened to oil and gas people somewhere. Usually if like big companies are working, it's pretty safe because they have like big security budgets to make sure you're safe and everything. So we were having like a bulletproof vests and convoys of like in bulletproof vehicles and armed security to take us anywhere in there with ExxonMobil. So then a year and a half later, when DNO restarted their drilling campaign, so I rejoined back. At the time, also ExxonMobil was hiring more ExxonMobil employees in the project. So I was speaking with managers. He said, okay, you know, 6 months, 12 months, but it's coming. And I've joined DNO back. Since then, I'm with DNO and pretty happy here. And work from Dubai, supporting operations in Kurdistan. And that's basically my career in a nutshell. So I think that's it from my side. So I'm ready to take your questions, guys.
Mr. Faraj, thank you for your enlightening and entertaining presentation. We really appreciated that. Right now, okay, guys, question and answer section. Please be active while you're okay. Just I see here, so Wahid, raise your hand. Please, but also open your camera and ask your question.
The quality of my camera is not that great, so I don't know if it will be visible, even if I open.
Okay, no problem. Go on.
Okay, so first of all, I would like to thank for such a fruitful presentation and giving us insight on our future career paths. My question will be actually about the mentoring part. So are you currently mentoring some students? And if yes, how we can like apply for this, or when will be the window for us? If there is?
Yeah, with regards to mentoring, it's always better to find mentors closer to where you are. That's my personal advice will be. So if you, for example, are based in Baku, it's better to find the people who are in Baku, working for some organizations there, like for BP, for example. Ask them and see. In LinkedIn, you can find, if you will, I'll try to put a link later on, I'll send it to Samira. There are some mentoring also initiatives that are taking the young students and making mentoring and finding the mentors in their discipline. So at the moment, I'm not having mentors, mentees, I would say. I used to, and usually it is not very, it's not working very well for various reasons. First, there is no structure. Mentoring is actually bottom driven always. So it's mentee who is doing most of the things, who is doing most of the work, and he comes prepared for like a once every month session and updating mentor on how he did and also taking some advice. So whatever mentees I had in the past, it was working maybe okay for these guys for some time, but then it was slowly, it was, I don't know if it's for me or for someone else.
I think that if your microphone open, please unmute it. Okay.
Yeah, can you hear me now?
Yeah, his microphone. Okay, right now he closed, unmuted. Okay, we can continue.
Yeah. So mentoring. So to answer your question, at the moment, I'm not having any mentorship program going on with any of the guys. But again, try to find mentors closer to where you are, because you can see them in person at least once a month. Again, if you will be coming through Dubai or whatever, you know, we always can meet for half an hour and see each other in person, and I can assist you with some advice, or you can send me a quick LinkedIn message, and I will reply as well.
Okay, thank you.
Right now, Stefan, Mr. Faraj, Stefan is our foreign student, and he have also the question. Please, Stefan.
Good evening, sir. I just want to thank you for this brief seminar, and it was very, very educative, and I learned so much. So I have some few questions, and one of it is that at what point did you know that drilling is the best career choice for you, and what are the factors that helped you make this decision?
Thanks, Stephen, for your question. So, to be honest, when I started on petroleum engineering, studying petroleum engineering, for the first year, I didn't know anything about what kind of roles are there. So that's why I was even not thinking about it. I was trying to be the top in the class, and that's what I was. One of the top students in the class. On the grade 2 of university, actually, I managed to get into the mentorship with BP, and my mentor was drilling engineer. And I instantly saw myself doing this job, and I saw what kind of challenges they have, how they work daily, what kind of life they have, what kind of future progressions they have. That guy already was overseas with different companies and came back. So that was very, I really liked the way he works and everything. So that's why I just decided to become a BP drilling engineer. And I didn't make a mistake. I really liked that profession, because with drilling, every day is a new day. So you will never be bored, because drilling will always have some problems that you have to sort. And one day of drilling rig is between $100,000 or and up to $500,000. So if you will find a solution to save a day of drilling, you save a company $100,000. If you, by your mistake or by someone else's mistake, if you will do a mistake or something goes wrong, the company will be losing this 100,000, and sometimes we'll be losing millions because the BHA got stuck, for example. So all this will make you more valuable, because this will bring more experience to you. And as I'm saying, in drilling, you are like wine. You know, the more experience you have, the more expensive you are. Hope it answered your question.
Yes, thank you very much for that question. And for the second one is that like, I want to be a drilling engineer, and so what should be my focus for now as a student?
So as a student, you have to study hard in English, because sometimes, like, I was studying in Russian, and I actually on year 2 I got the Heriot-Watt University courses, like Heriot-Watt University modules, and I was reading those materials by myself. So I was educating myself about the drilling engineering and also general petroleum engineering. So first is to go through and understand everything that is there, because this will create you a good base. Then you can start getting online some drilling courses, like cementing course, mud course, some other courses that you will find in PDF documents. There are like hundreds of the courses in the online, where you will actually understand more and more and more about something. So and then meeting new people, like try to connect with the drilling engineers, try to see how it is, try to connect to HR. But again, it might be that in your particular time when you graduate, and try to become an intern, drilling engineering intern somewhere. If you become a drilling engineering intern in BP, it means you have landed your job. So like I think now they have started the internship program for summer. So year 2 and year 3 students can apply, and year 4 students can apply to the annual intake. But again, do not close eyes on service company jobs as well. Like I have taken those. It didn't. It was not bad. It was good experience as well. Next question.
Okay, thank you very much. I really appreciate it.
No issues.
Next question will come from Vusal. Please, Vusal.
Okay, Mr. Faraj, thank you for your time and for your presentation. My question is about energy transition that happens nowadays, and you may see that major companies, major oil and gas companies, starting kind of the transfer from the energy sector to the renewable energy sector. And yeah, and my question is also about this slide, and you can see on the slide, on the top of the slide, the energy and let's say the oil and gas consumption trends. How can you comment on them, and how do you see the future of this trend? You know, many of the participants of this seminar are the students like me, and we are going to start a career in the upcoming years. For example, me myself as a final year student and going to probably start my career. And this kind of talks about energy transformation from energy sector and other stuff has a great effect on us. And how can you comment on that?
Yeah, I believe that there is some transformation, and you are right that when yesterday I was preparing the slides, there was one slide that I didn't put here, but it seems that the energy goes from the renewable energy goes from 6% now to about 24% by 2050. So the oil and gas will be from maybe about 30-40% to about 30-40% or 25-30%. But again, there will be always something more fashionable than oil and gas. Yes, oil and gas was very fashionable in 2008, 2006, 2008. Why? Because of this, because of really high production increase in Azerbaijan, oil and gas. Yeah, so you need to look in the local market also, how much demand is for renewable engineers. Do you see a lot of wind power companies around Azerbaijan? So even if you graduate, where you will be working? Do you see a lot of solar plants in Azerbaijan? How good are they? Maybe you will go to hydropower, but how many hydro plants are in Azerbaijan? So it's always faster to find job in Azerbaijan rather than going somewhere else. And if you go somewhere else, it's easy, of course. Some people would go as a master's degree and study in Norway, for example. Yeah, in Norway, you can go and study your master degrees in renewable energy and try to find your job there. But you also see worldwide how many like jobs are required for renewables. I do not know what is the demand for renewables. For me, like you build, for example, wind power mill, and then you just need one mechanic for like 10 or 15 of those servicing every week. So how many really engineers do they need to build those wind mills? Or the solar guys, you know, you install solar panel and that's it. Like you maybe will be installing somewhere else, but the intensity of workforce, I don't know what it is in renewables. What I wanted to show is, yes, the demand will be probably going down, but also what your country is exporting for the next 20 years. Will it be exporting renewable energy, or will it be a leader of renewable energy in the area? Maybe it will be, but most likely it will continue export oil and gas. And as long as it exports oil and gas will stay the same, or it will grow up actually. Many people predict that. It means that there will be demand for more drilling, more wells, more field development. And here you will gain experience and then move overseas, because still there will be a lot of oil and gas production. Still there will be, maybe it will not be fashionable. But when you turn on your car and drive to supermarket, you're not actually worried so much that, okay, my car is actually not clean. Let me take a bike. And millions of other people are doing the same. Yes, they might be very clean in terms of clean energy in their heads, but ships will be still going, and planes will be flying, and those millions and millions of cars on the roads, they will be still driving for next 10 years or 15 years. So that's my understanding. There will be a requirement for petroleum and drilling and other engineers, and that's for sure. If you like renewables, really great, but you need to explore that area.
Okay, thank you for
Can
your
I ask
answer.
a question, Samira Khanum?
Yes, of course. Go on.
Firstly, I would like to thank Mr. Faraj for presentation and sharing experiences with us. My question is about my future career path. I'm last year petroleum engineering student, and in front of me there are two options. First one is pursuing master degree in oil and gas sector, let's say in oil and gas subject. But second one is working in a business which is not related oil and gas. Which one is best? Which one would you prefer?
Can you do both?
I don't know.
So that's what I did. Yes, I was working in oil. I was working in oil company, and at the same time I was continuing my studies. Yes, it will require more time, but still it will be beneficial for you if you have a job and if you also have some oil and gas like education as well. But the key question what you need to ask yourself is, first question is that you like graduated with oil and gas. How did you like being an oil and gas engineer? How did you like this whole environment? My advice would be just to go and meet other people, see what they do for life, and if you can find, if you really like it, go for master's degrees, do some business on the side, maybe as a partner, maybe helping someone in your free time. If you see that your business is growing up, maybe you will just go offline on your studies, but probably while you will be studying, there will be opportunities.
Mm-hmm.
So, for example, there will be this company hiring, other company hiring, and if you're studying, it will not be like a gap. What companies do not like is people exit the oil and gas, people start something else, like they go and sell cars, for example, and they come for the interview, and the oil and gas company is looking for oil and gas people, and they're saying, okay, you had 3 years ago you were a drilling engineer, so now you are selling cars. Why? In their head is maybe he's a bad engineer, that's why. But if you continued your education, it means that, oh, I've decided that I want to increase my skills. There was less of positions, but I just gaining my skills. In their heads, it's not bad engineer. It's actually a good engineer because he continued his education and he uses his time wisely. Okay. So I will not say you do not go into business and do not try new things, but think in your head if you can combine those two. Or maybe you will go in and study master's degree somewhere else, like in some other country, for example, where you want to stay, you know, and or when you want to when there are more opportunities, because sometimes, you know, like if you go to US and or UK and get into the best university possible, you have higher chance of getting employed in Azerbaijan from this university. Sometimes it happens, sometimes not.
I want to answer your question. I like working in oil and gas business, this sector, but taking into account this recent condition, pandemic situation, there's no job vacancies for fresh graduates. And my question is, what if this gap is only 1 or 2 years? Will it create problem for me in the future?
Again, if you're lucky, you can study. Yeah, and for you it is very natural progress. You just go from one university bachelor's, you go into master's. First, you increase your skills. So always think about if the future company will be having a selection between two guys, one with master's degree, one without master's degree, who will they choose? Yeah.
Of course, master's degree.
So that's why you improve your value. Always think how you can improve your value. So and I was showing you the oil price. Oil price always is going up and down, up and down. So even on the down times, like for example 2008, when it went down big time, if market is going up at the time, like for example here in Azerbaijan, there will be still hiring opportunities. So at the same time, you know, starting off your own as a business with someone is also not a bad thing. So it's always a personal decision. You can start with a master's degree. You can stop it in the middle, like after year one. You can try your business or whatever you do. You see if you like it, and you can restart it later on. So no one really will say, okay, it took you 2 years or 3 years to take your master's degree. Most important, you have your master's degree in.
I understood your opinion. Thank you for answer.
Yeah, no problem.
Thank you, Amin. Okay, Mr. Faraj, go.
Yeah, I also want to say that if some of the guys are not very comfortable in asking the question in English, they can ask in Azeri or Russian, so I can equally can reply.
Yeah, there is one of our student, Asad. He asks that, can I ask them my question in Russia? Yes, Asad, you can, please.
Or Azeri, whatever works for you.
Hello, Mr. Faraj.
Hi.
My name is Azar. Можно по-русски, да?
Можно.
Вы не возражаете?
Не возражаю.
Я выпускник региона связи именно Губкина. Я египтянин, но я закончил в Египте колледж мехатроники с отличием, поэтому потом приехал сюда, закончил регионе Газа, и совершенно спорение не финиш Газа с но мне очень сложно найти работу в России или в других странах, потому что египтянин и что еще, нет возможности, чтобы работать в России. А что вы рекомендуете меня, чтобы как смогу найти работу именно в России или в других странах? Потому что я регистрировался, у меня как аккаунт на LinkedIn, и несколько раз приходил на собеседование, но они хотят у кого-то опытно.
Yeah, I understand the question, and this is like to translate to other guys. Assad is asking, how would I find my first job after the university? So it will be, and this is very important for all the trainees, regardless if you actually went to study somewhere else, overseas, or you studied in your home country. The most important thing is, as I said, increase your skills and be the top guy in your university, for example, or in your class, and network as much as possible. So all those first, whatever you is focused, is like internal focus, is on you. So if you improve your skills to the max, if everyone in the university in your group considers you as a top student, if you have an ambition to grow, and if you chase your opportunity every day, like you go you're sending your CVs everywhere, you always changing your CV for that particular position. You adjust your CV, you try to get to know people, you try to get into the meetings with the new people, you try to offer your services, even on free basis, like free internship, free help with to the companies. You will start gaining some experience. This will increase your skills. Try not to stop that, and do not really look only on whatever. Like if you're a drilling engineer, look at drilling engineer. Look broader. So you look at any engineering position if there is nothing around you. So to be for example, mechanical engineer is also an engineering job, and then you can switch to drilling engineering later on. So try to really do most and get an internship position somewhere. The most important one is grasp the first opportunity that is coming. So that's the key, and this is regardless where you are. So it is the same advice everywhere. All right, Safa.
Hello. Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Good evening, Faraj. Thank you very much for your interesting talk. I'd like to introduce myself first. We're studying with a 1 or 2 years difference with Faraj in a university. Then I was taking my master's degree in Norway and graduated in drilling and well engineering. I came back to Azerbaijan. Now I'm currently working for the Caspian Drilling Company as a driller. My question is that if we look on today's reality, lots of graduated people from the university will get some job, but there's no guarantees that they will go straight to drilling or well engineering. Very big chance that they will get the job in service companies. There might be very big spectrum variety of jobs for wireline, cementing, MWD and LWD. And I see that there's a lot of guys working as a mud logger, have a very good understanding of an operation, but because of market, they cannot proceed or do the good career development. I would like to know your opinion. Are there any breaking point to switch back to the drilling engineering if you started to work for a service or a contractor company? I understand in your case you spent about 2 years working for the service companies and then started to engineer the well in an operator company. But at some cases, people develop on a service company in such a level and at such a salary that if they will continue their job as a challenger in BP, for example, they might lose on their salaries. And this is a step, this usually become very scary step for them to, are they ready to start everything from the beginning or no? What do you think? Is it better to develop the career in a service company at that time, or it's better to start everything and continue as a drilling engineer? And in the view from the operator company, will the operator company prefer more the people having with an experience in the service companies, or they more interested to take the challenger and grow the employer as they want? Thank you very much.
Yeah, thanks a lot, Safa. Really happy to see you. Really great guy, and I'm happy that you're successfully employed as a driller. Maybe one, I'm sure you already know how operators look at drilling contractors. So if I start with drilling contractors and then I switch to service companies, because these are two different companies from drilling organization perspective. So drilling contractors, it's a very vertical oriented structure when you start low and then you gradually go up and up and up in the ranks, and usually do not jump around because you need to know everything about the rig. Safa is on the highest, on the higher level position there, and some people prefer to stay there forever because it's well paid. Some people who want to go to operator, they switch after that to tool pusher, which is like head of the crew for the drilling contractor. Then they switch to the rig manager. Usually this is a guy working on the in the town, like managing the rig for the in the operator's office or in their own office, but talking to operator very on a daily basis. And usually from tool pusher, driller, and rig managers, the people, if they want to switch to operators, they switch and go to work as a drilling supervisor. And this is very common. So I would say for drilling supervisors that are basically the head of the operator that is supervising drilling operations on the rig from the perspective of drilling operator, this is very common to hire the rig guys because they need to understand the rig and they also need to follow the drilling program. So usually the route is to actually hire the drilling contractor guys. So once you are a drilling supervisor, you then can go become a drilling superintendent in office, and then you next step might be the drilling manager. So if you go through engineering route, usually you are an engineer, like any engineer, like it can be that you will be hired as a challenger from the drilling university, and many companies prefer that, like raising their own. Some companies, on the opposite, they prefer to hire engineers, like cementing engineer, MWD engineer, other engineers, data engineer from mud logging side. And those guys, they already have engineering mindset, so you just teach them some drilling engineering skills and they become drilling engineers this way. And once they grow, they also grow in their career. They become senior drilling engineers, they become drilling engineering managers, and then become drilling managers at the top. And then they can go to management route. I think that is one side of the question that Safa really asked. Second side of the question is, does it worth for engineers who already specialized in the service industry Like I, for example, switched when I spent only a year or two, and I didn't really lose a lot. But some guys are spending like 5-10 years, and then they want to switch. Does it really work this way? Usually, people have to understand for themselves what are they looking for. Are they looking for like operator being a company of their lifetime choice because they worked in a service company? It's like you're providing a service to someone, like for example, and then suddenly you become a client of that company. So it's two different mentalities, two different mindsets. Usually the service company has less of work-life balance. The operators sometimes have more work-life balance. Sometimes service sector employees, they actually have higher salaries. So will they trade it for the lower salary, at least initially? So it's a very personal choice. Can they become, for example, a manager in the service industry, and then they can switch between managers' roles in different areas? Some service companies like Big Four, they have their own drilling arms. So people can go become a MWD engineer. They can become a drilling engineer in service sector arm. Like, for example, I was drilling engineer for Schlumberger. And then they come back to operator as drilling engineer. It's possible. They can become a drilling project manager in Schlumberger, and for example, some of our employees came from service side as managers and became, like, for example, senior engineers, chief engineers, or superintendents. So to be honest, the bigger your network is, the more people you know, the better. I mean, some people will take you to the positions that, like your ex-boss, for example. Let's take you're a driller and your rig manager goes and becomes superintendent for an operator somewhere because his boss took him here. He will take you to become his drilling supervisor because he knows you are great. Yeah, so that's why network is important. That's how you will make a switch to operator. So that's how it is, really. I mean, some people have the perception that operators is like heaven. Sometimes not, but it's always a personal choice, and it's always also an opportunity. If opportunity comes, grasp it. If it doesn't, look for it. That will be my answer.
All right, thank you very much for your answer.
Anyone else? Gülşen? Gülcahan?
Gülcahan Aliyev.
Yes, it's me. First of all, thank you for your time and for your presentation. I want to ask, do you have any friend or colleague that changed his or her profession to renewable energy from petroleum engineering? If yes, are they happy for this decision?
To be honest, if you are an engineer and you cannot find anything in drilling or in petroleum, the closest energy profession for you will be renewable energy. So this will be like also energy position. So if you have an offer, like with salary and with education, you can take it. I have a lot of guys who switched to various positions. Some people started went into completely different field. For example, they became light engineers. They are doing lights on the concerts, and they are very happy. Some became some become, like, for example, the guy who is selling the solar panels. And some of them are also happy because they say, oh, there are not this up and downs, or there are very less of those up and downs. Some people, they moved to consultancy. for that you have to have a very good MBA degree, or become an excellent in some like make a world breaking wells or whatever. But after that, they went and became like directors of exploration in Ukraine, for example, or vice minister for development in Turkmenistan. You know, so there are various ways. It's always that you really are searching for opportunities and taking it if you feel it's good, even if it is not good. I mean, it is still a learning for you. It's lesson for you. You know you shouldn't do that, or you learn it's not for you. You will start looking for something else. You always can brush it up nicely in your CV, and that's it. I mean, if you, for example, go to your university like renewable job, you find that it is terrible, you don't like it, go and do master's degree in Canada, for example, or back in your home country, and you will be back on your engineering route in oil and gas.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you. But Mr. Faraj, in our chat box, we have a few questions. If you would like, I will read it. Or
please, yeah, read it and I will reply.
Yeah, there is one question from Hussein Abbasada. Firstly, he is thanking for awesome presentation, for all advice. My question is a bit different. Are you happy now? Does all things worse to do in your opinion, aside money? Then I really believe that happiness is very important. That's why it's interesting to me. Thanks in advice.
Okay. To be honest, happiness comes from inside. Happiness doesn't depend on external factors. If there are people that do not earn much money, but they have perfect family and they are very happy, they are good enough with what they have. So there are people who are very rich, they have highest positions in the companies, and they're very unhappy. So happiness doesn't depend on you being successful or not being successful, but you need to remember that every happy person is successful automatically. So yes, you search for happiness in your life. That's very important advice. If you will be doing something that you hate, and I have an example for that. There was one lady, and that lady was was studying with me, and she was applying for the internship positions, and she was rejected, and I was rejected as well. And then she went to her engineer who was interviewing her, or team leader who is interviewing her, and she started to like persuade him in taking her. So I wouldn't say what she did, but like she persuaded him into taking her on the drilling engineer role, you know. And she was not great at that job, and somehow she survived, and she got an offered position as a staff engineer. And later on, she survived somehow for the next few years. But she hated every day of that job. And that hate, because and that is only because she liked the money. I mean, she knew that nowhere else she would get that money apart from that. So it was very interesting for me, because she didn't like the job and she was in there, but I was like really were ready to give everything to change my place with her, and she didn't really value what she had. So later on, she and obviously her results were showing that. I mean, she was not improving her skills. She was not delivering on her projects. She was not very nice with the. She was stressed out completely, and she left. So she left. She went to study psychology in Russia, and now she is psychologist for one Russian company. She actually briefly, when there was a market uptick, she went to work for some oil and gas recruiting company. Maybe she made some money, and then she came back to become a psychologist in the company. So, and if you ask me where she is more happy, probably being psychologist in that company. So if you were pushed by your parents and you hate every day or reading something about oil and gas, and you know that it's just not yours, slowly improve your skills in something that makes you happy. And when the opportunity comes from that field, take it. You always can come back. But because some of my, like maybe I would say 60% of my group, they couldn't find a job right after graduating from university. Only 40–30% got the job. And you need to remember that the opportunity comes, it might come later on, because Azerbaijan was continuing production, producing oil and gas, and there was still demand for engineers, and there was more demand later on than most of, like I would say 70% of the guys later on returned into the oil and gas area. Yes, they went into the business first. Yes, they went into some other small companies, but because of probably their network, like 3, 5, 7 guys that they knew were already working for oil and gas. And when they find out that actually whatever they do is not that great, actually, they were able to come and join the companies, maybe on a lower level, and they started to grow from there. You need to remember that your career is like 50 or years. You graduate when you're 21, and then until 72, you'll be working. So if you lose a year or 2 or 3, it doesn't really matter much when you took a perspective of 50-year career. But thanks for the question. The happiness question is very important.
Okay, thank you for your answer. And next question, Umit, please, we will follow the sequences. I will read the Nurlan's question, and after that, we will come to you. There is a Nurlan's question about, I appreciate it for your presentation. Is the PhD degree important for petroleum engineering? Will they an advantage of PhD for career? Thank you very much.
Yeah. All right. So my answer would be no, unless you are into teaching. Unless you want to tie your career with teaching in the university or academic, you want to be a researcher. So among the researcher field, the field where you are actually writing papers, you're researching some fields and trying to find like you're like in Russian is ученый, scientist. If you are scientist by nature, yes, and you will enjoy it, because PhD is actually a doctor of philosophy or philosophy of science. It's expanding your field in some way, like for more than the world knows now. So if master's degree, you just get a broader picture about and deeper picture about your subject. In PhD, you actually go very narrow in one field, like for example, hydrodynamics. Learn everything about hydrodynamics, and then you make some research about what if hydrodynamics will be done in this viscosity or new type of viscosity fluid, and let me make a research there. And no one did it in the past in the world. So if you're interested in those type of discussions, those type of projects, those type of things, you are happy to do so. But if you ask me that, will PhD help you better to find something else? Some people, I would say no, because no one really, if the guys, like I've heard once, there is a word in oil and gas, it's called overqualified. So if someone needs from you to design the wells, they hire a drilling engineer, and they have a master degree student and PhD student. Most likely, the PhD, despite he was working 2-3 years more, will not matter as much as if this master degree had some experience, did something, or did like management course, or did finance course, or did some additional course in other university, or was an intern in some company doing some engineering, or he was a mechanical engineer, or have some work experience. That would be more important for the guy who would be just taking from the university from PhD level, because he doesn't really need a scientist in his organization. He needs an engineer in his organization. That's my answer to that.
Okay, thank you very much. Right now, Toğrul have the question. Toğrul, please.
Yes, and I would like to first of all thank you on my behalf as well for the presentation and your time. So here comes my question. I'm a person who is also interested in data science and machine learning and has a passion in petroleum engineering as well. So from a personal point, I would like to ask if you have had any experiences where there were, in the companies that you have worked in, there were positions where a conjunction of those two disciplines existed. Let's say machine learning, usage of machine learning in petroleum engineering, maybe.
Yeah, I actually have two of my work colleagues who were drilling engineers, and then they switched to become data scientists. And one was working in Equinor. He actually is a friend of Safa Kasimov, or he should know him. He became a data scientist in petroleum engineering field. Then he switched to more like a reservoir engineering with data science background. So another guy was a drilling engineer, and he was really, I would say, outstanding engineer. But again, he was lacking soft skills, like, because drilling engineering is as much engineering as managing other service companies to deliver, to get the, like, your project manager. So, but as an engineer, he was great. So it was noticed by BP, and he was sent to first UK to be part of their tubular design team. And then he was sent to Houston to become part of like engineering team. And then he was switched to become a data scientist, applying machine learning algorithm and everything. But this guy was data scientist and programming. He finished actually applied mathematics. He was programmer right from the start. He even like wrote a program when his mouth is moving, and in the chat everyone see him as busy all the time. So he wrote the program for his computer on his free time. So amount of things that he could do in Excel like was just mind-boggling. So yes, as I told you, like in our organization there was a lady that was doing machine learning algorithms for the data for our research. There is like the oil and gas industry produces probably the most amount of data per second than any other industry. We're tracking everything. There are like millions of sensors, and most of this data is like lost in servers. So there will be huge opportunities in machine learning and data science in oil and gas. And I think that every company is talking about digitalization. Every company. So there will be a big push to that. So, and who they will be hiring from is mostly from the engineers with like this scientific edge, data science skills, and everything. So if you can get that, you will be perfectly. So, for example, if you get bachelor's in that and master's in machine learning, I mean, you will be bachelor's in petroleum engineering, machine learning, and as a master's. That will be very well suited for any job, because you can take something away from petroleum and come back to it later. So that's why I'm saying skills. Think about how you do your skills, how you improve your skills. As I told you, some people think that, oh, there is no job. What do I do? Okay, go work, and at the same time improve your skills in machine learning. If you need to work, if you don't, just go and study somewhere else.
I see. Thanks a lot for your answer.
And remember, guys, that coaching and mentoring is very important. So it's like, for me, it's easy to give you advice, but maybe if you find a data scientist, or you will talk to that guy who was an engineer and data science, and I know the guy. You can talk to him and he will give you way more depth into this than I do. Maybe he will tell you, do not come until you are like a geek. Maybe, I don't know. So, but that's why you ask people like more experienced than you are.
And I want to ask that point as well. Would it be possible for me to get some contact information of that person from you?
Yeah, I can share with you.
Oh, that would
So
be
you
awesome.
send me your message in LinkedIn. I have to ask the guy, but I can send him I can send you his details if he is okay.
All right, I'll do just that. Thanks a lot again.
No issue.
Okay, right now we may have a question. Well, I think that our time is we take Mr. Faraj more than 2 hours, but I think that you're tired. But
No, I'm fine. It's okay.
You're okay. Ümit, please ask your question. Go on.
Hello, it is Ümit Abdurrahimov, first year petroleum engineering student. First, I'd like to ask you for your time and presentation. And my question is about like learning new languages for petroleum sector in addition to English. What do you think? How important it is to know any other language like in addition to English? And is it important to learn a new language from now on, like Russian, or English would be enough? What do you think?
Yeah. First of all, you have to remember that English is a worldwide language. So you have to excel and in it first in your profession. You have to be able to speak fluently, and you are, but many students are not. And they have to speak fluently about their like work with the terms of their specialty fluently in English to be able to be considered for international oil companies, even in Azerbaijan. So with regards to foreign languages, usually the recommendation is that if you have a passion for it, go for it. Yeah. So if you really like learning new languages, go and learn new language, because you never know when it will help you. Like for me, for example, because I was just 3-year drilling engineer, there's no way I could go overseas assignment with triple the salary without having my Russian language and the Russian language fluent knowledge of Russian language helped me to get a position in Russia. And I just saw how much the senior engineers who were from Scotland were suffering there. They were first not delivering even the company expectations, because that guy was relying on me on translating everything, but also how important it was for them to hire me specifically, or hire someone who knows the Russian language. So if you ask me which languages would be the most important for you in the oil and gas industry, is perhaps Russian, because it is Russian. Russia is the #1 producer of oil in the like worldwide. I think that was like producing 13 million per day. And it is closest to us, like geographically, and you will be it will be easy for you to find Russian speakers around. Then it will be, of course, Arabic, because Middle East is on average, as a whole, Middle East is producing more even oil than Russia. and maybe third is French because and Spanish because in France French is spoken in Africa where oil is produced, and Spanish in Latin America. But again, you learn this in case there is first an opportunity as well. For example, if you're offered position in Total, straight away go for French courses. Straight away, don't even think that it will be required or not required, because 5 years later, when you are at some like senior engineer position in Total, if you don't know French, you will not be able to transfer overseas, and they will, even if they work in English speaking countries, there will be a French speaking team. So network will be easier for you to be built up if you speak French. If you're offered a position in some company working in Iraq, for example, or somewhere else, try to learn Arabic. That might or might not help, but sometimes, you know, smallest difference from you and other guy who has same petroleum engineering, same years of experience, almost same experience in terms of geography and in terms of English, in terms of operations, and suddenly one speaks the local language and some other doesn't speak local language. The company will always take the one who speaks. So that's why it is like that. But again, you know, if you don't have the opportunity at the moment, if languages is not your passion, probably you better spend time on worldwide skills like machine learning nowadays, or coding or programming.
Okay, thank you very much.
Okay, thank you, Umid, and thank you, Mr. Faraj, for your question. And there is a last one question, not last, a few questions here we left in our chat box, and but okay, Tarlan's questions coming. He is thanking for the presentation. I really liked, and it's really helpful, but I want to ask the question, if you can have a chance, will you change your career to data science or data analysis or not? Or do you recommend it?
Personally, I will not. I would not. First, I would not to change it for anything else, because I really enjoy that every day is something new, and every day is very.
Muslim also dream. Yeah.
Yeah, we started with in Halliburton with Muslim. That's why Muslim is there. So yeah, every day is a new challenge. Every day is something new. You really grow in, and by solving those challenges, you get more experience, and then you get more valuable in the market. So I like what I do, and I would not change anything in my career. And I think that in general, my career didn't have any gaps. It was straight up. Obviously, there were probably more opportunities around me that I could have taken and didn't take, but I'm pretty happy where I am. Data science, you have to be like a data science loving person. So you always have to be very careful with fashionable trends. Like, for example, when I was just starting, it was very fashionable to go in 2014, for example, in university. People would be asking me, why with such high scores on entrance exams, you didn't go to applied mathematics or applied physics? With applied mathematics, I could understand maybe programming was very, very fashionable at the time. You could become a software engineer. It was booming. But applied physics, I couldn't even understand how by becoming a big physicist, you can earn a lot of money, for example, or you can get Excel. But it was very fashionable. Or like, for example, lawyers were very fashionable, and international business was very fashionable thing at the time. So and to me, it was just, if you go for fashion and you're not looking inside of what you really want to do with your life, you will be losing time. A lot of people that I know, they became lawyers and they worked as lawyers, and then they said it's not what I expected, and they became business development guys for some businesses, or sales guys for some other equipment. So in my opinion, data science, if you really love it, you go into it. If you want to have few skills in machine learning and learn Python, you can learn and then apply in your job, and your skills will increase. So that's what I think. And same with MBA, actually. If you want some business education, how strategy is introduced, how big bosses are thinking, what they do with companies, organizations, etc. You go into MBA, and there you learn how to run and start your own company or run the big companies, etc.
Okay, there is one more question from Katib Aliyev, but I will read it shortly because it's long, the questions. Dear Mr. Faraj, thank you for your presentation and sharing experience. I would like to ask how the petroleum engineering and data engineering can be integrated.
Okay, so petroleum engineering is like, as I said, those on that slide, it's reservoir engineering, production engineering, completions, and drilling. So it's all about like doing something with the well. Reservoir is when you're designing the reservoir and then analyzing its performance based on the production data. Production engineering, you try to produce as much as possible from the petroleum, from the field, by utilizing different techniques, working closely with other guys, obviously. Completions, it's once we drill the well, drilling engineers drill the well based on what geologists say where you need to. Completion engineers comes and complete the well with the completion. They put special tools, packers, segment it, and try to optimize how you complete the well for best production. And all of them, they work together, but it's all about well. All of these fields, and as well as geology, and as well as some others, they produce a lot of data. Every well that is being produced, it produces the data on the volumes, on the pressure, on the amount of water in the oil, etc., etc. It's time-based. So every day it changes. And the same with like seismic data. They shoot seismic to find out how the reservoir look like. And then geologists and geophysicists, they interpret it and find out where the oil is. So it's all about data as well. During drilling, there is a real-time data transfer from the rigs, and there is a lot of data coming with different parameters. And sometimes the stuck pipe happens, and people try to analyze these parameters to predict this stuck pipe or avoid the stuck pipe events. So you will find a lot of data everywhere. So if you will feel easy to utilize those machine learning algorithms, you can find trends in those data. You will see if one parameter depends on other or not. And then you will train your system with more and more data to be running on itself and feeding you with some interesting insights. So that's how it works. How usable it will be for your job? Probably it will be just another skill that you might use.
Okay, Mr. Faraj, there is the last two questions. One from Mohammed. Thanks for presentation. Is it possible to study chemical engineering in master while bachelor degree is petroleum engineering?
Obviously, yes. I mean, and then there is even profession like petroleum chemist, which actually looks for of petroleum products and how they react with water, how they react with gas, why they produce asphaltenes, why they produce some wax, like what kind of combinations, how you acidize your formation to improve the productivity, create more fractures in the wells. So all this requires a lot of chemical knowledge. And then another one is this chemical knowledge is needed for mud formulation. because we're using a lot of chemicals in our drilling muds, and each chemical is responsible for different action. So these chemists are helping to improve the mud performance and then sell it to the operator company along with mud engineers. So you basically will, it will help you in that regard. Another one is obviously you want to become a pure chemist, and then you can, for example, invent some better version of the gasoline or better version of the gas or something else. You always, but this means that chemistry is something that really should be part of your life. You really need to be striving to like when you study chemistry, it means that you study the subject that you love. It's actually a pleasure for you to study something. That's why I warn people to go into fashionable subjects, because fashion will go away. 10 years ago, no one was speaking about renewables, and hydro plants were there for like tens of years. And now it's fashionable, and people will go there, and then fashion will go away into something else, and they will stay, in a place where they don't want to be. So that's why try to listen to your heart and see what exactly fascinates you, what is very interesting for you, and where you're good at. Maybe, I'm not a very, very, very scientific person. I'm not unlike that guy who was running the Super Excel simulations and writing programs for doing some projects. I would make 3 calculations: top well, bottom of the well, and middle of the well, and it will be good enough approximation. And but so that guy went to data science, and he feels very nicely. I mean, he says that I hated these stressful moments of meetings. I hated this all the day new drilling problems. I just want to run some big data and work on my own without someone shouted at me. Okay, so maybe.
Okay, last questions, and the last question comes, but there is no name. iPhone, just there is a phone mark. Mr. Faraj, spending render of the presentation, did you attend the presentation skills training, or you learned while your work process? How can we improve communication skills?
So I've never attended presentation skills. It's just part of your job to do presentations and make some presentations based on, like, for example, if there is a stuck pipe, you make an investigation, you make a presentation format. Then as part of the studies in the university, you do presentations. As part of the any topics that, for example, you go to and then you kind of want to present to the team, you do also presentation. So, and it's all about, you can of course watch on YouTube all the videos about how to present and what to do, but it's only by doing things you will learn. So on-job training is always the best. So this presentation, I spent a few hours yesterday to compile, and I hope it is good. So that's what you do, and it will come with time. So if you want to train, just go on Coursera, go through the PowerPoint presentation course, and then try to do a few presentations for your friends on the new subject and expand. Like, to be honest, once I was in the MBA course, and there was a marketing expert who was designing designing the billboards. He was a manager in a top one of the top marketing companies, and he did presentation on a level that is unachievable for me. And I have noticed that the big bosses in different companies actually were doing similar PowerPoint slides to him. So you always will see how to grow, and exactly like you said, you see the people with a presentation, you ask him, okay, how can I improve? What is your best 5 tips? You listen, you implement. That's how it goes.
Thank you very much, Mr. Faraj. And there is a last question from Stefan. Please, Stefan, and after that we will finalize our presentation. Okay, Stefan.
Yes, so thank you very much for your time. What I want to ask is that what are the list of drilling softwares that we have, and which one would you consider the best? And is it something I can learn on my own?
With regards to drilling software, most important things for drilling engineer is to know, obviously, the Microsoft package. This is Word, Excel, PowerPoint. But apart from that, it is the proprietary softwares like Landmark software. It's torque and drag, well plan, basically. It's torque and drag hydraulics. And Compass is directional work, maybe on less of extent. But Landmark well plan and Landmark stress check, this is for casing design. These are 2 biggest softwares. There are like hundreds of, for example, hydraulics Excel spreadsheets. If you do hydraulics on that spreadsheet, that also will be fine because you will get an approximate number that will work. There are some spreadsheets in Excel that will build a trajectory for you. You can find those. So not necessarily that you really need to go into and spend your time and learn on the software. If your university provides that, like there are some free licenses, you can go into university computer room, speak with the guys, try to find some cases and do them on the computer. That would be perfect. You can find for free the Landmark well-planned software training package, for example, or Compass training package, and spend like a week in your university computer room learning the case studies in that training package, and then you will be as good user as any other drilling engineer. And you're right, some people are afraid of that. Some people are not really good with softwares and they try to escape it as much as possible, which I believe it is wrong. And by being a very good power user of software in the team, you will actually get a lot of respect, because people will come to you and say, oh, how do I design my casing? How do I run the well plan? How do I change here and there? Because software usually it's very scary to start with, but once you understand how it works, it's very easy.
Okay.
Okay, so thank you very much.
Togrul wants to ask a question, or it was previous question?
But I think that it was previous question. Togrul, you have a question?
No, I just forgot to lower my hand. Sorry.
Okay, guys, any more questions? I think that all the questions we have done. Mr. Faraj, really we are appreciated for your presentation and for your advice to our future engineering. Thank you very much. With deeply thanks to you, and see you next time. I would like to ask you, did you enjoy with our students or with the questions?
No, definitely I enjoyed the questions, and I really enjoyed the fact that a lot of students, they speak English, because that is one of the biggest important factors in oil and gas business worldwide, that everyone speaks in English. Like I was recommending you learning Arabic, for example, if you go to some company, but like if you work in Iraq, I didn't do that, for example, myself, which sometimes I can blame myself only for that. But I was working for an international company when everyone was speaking English around me. There were actually very little Arabs communicating with me daily. So that's why wherever you are in the oil and gas area, most likely you will be having English alone. Another one is that you guys really are looking on opportunities around you, and I'm really happy to give back to society and give back to young guys in my home country the way like I was getting some mentorship initially when I was a year 2 student in State Oil Academy. So I wish everyone good luck, and I really thank Samira because this was her personal decision and her personal idea to get this organized. And really, thanks a lot for all of you. I may wish to do another presentation on LinkedIn only because network, as I said, is very important subject. I mean, the guys as young as you guys need to understand how to use it at maximum capacity. Or if you have any other ideas on what you guys want me to present about, you can always ask me, and maybe I will do another one later on.
Thank you very much.
Thanks a lot, guys. Thank you.
Thank you.
I really appreciate it.
We too. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.